Alright, I'm going to talk about the hierarchy in our application and specifically the differences between our hierarchy levels, which are the definition of each level, and then the hierarchy items. So if you look at our application, when I load this account, you can see that it actually loads up these account or hierarchy definitions and then hierarchy items. The definitions in this particular instance are regions, sites, and departments. And the way that works, I'll just actually draw it out here, is, for example, the level would be at the very root would equal the account. And then that's the 0 level. If we go down one, this can be n levels deep, which means it can be any number of levels. So in our instance, number 1, if we looked over here, was regions. This could be anything they wanted. But you can see now how this works. So regions is here, right? And then number 2, I think we had sites and then departments. So it's 0 index, so my index is a little off, but sites, and then last one is departments. It was 3. So that's the definitions. And the reason the definition is important is it defines basically how many levels we go. And this is always just a linear list. So it's just a list. The actual tree itself is the data that fits into these definitions. So if we go over to the actual website and we look at the structure here, you can see under the root I have account cleaning, region, East Boston, then site, and I don't have any departments on this one. Let me see if I can find one with a department. Nope. East Boston, J. Anderson. Well, let's go add. Actually, I'm not sure if I can add it here, but you get my point. I don't have any departments, but if I did, they would be listed here, and I would have this tree structure. So in the end, the actual hierarchy items, we call them. So up here it's hierarchy item. My handwriting's really bad, sorry. And this is a true tree. So this would be, maybe we've got the root, which equals the account, which in this case would be the name of the account. So cleaning Inc. is a great example of an account. And then the region is this whole level. Region. Can't spell. All right, so this whole level here, anything on this level would be region. We could have as many regions as we want. So this might be North Boston, South Boston, or whatever. I'm going to delete a few things to make this easier. So you get the point. This becomes a tree. So the hierarchy items themselves, each one of these are levels, and then the items are the data and how it relates to themselves. Now in the application, hierarchy definitions are here, but the items are actually in a flat list, as you can see. So if we were to go and inspect one of them, if you look, it has a hierarchy definition ID. In this case, this one's E3935. So if we come up here to the definitions, E3935 is a site. So we know this one's a site. We also know if we want to know what region this is associated with it, because region is above site, you look at the parent ID. So we're looking at the parent ID of the hierarchy item that's above it, so E7EB. So if we look down here, E7EB is East Boston. If the parent ID is ever null, then it's always the root. So in this case, all of the regions here, we have, for all of these nodes at region, at this level, parent ID equals null. And that means they're one step away from the root. So that's pretty straightforward. In our mobile project, we have these models for hierarchy definition and hierarchy item. And they all come down with the account, but of course we're storing them in a relational database, not an object structure on the device level. So we store the hierarchy definition, and the main thing is the label, and then the level dictates what order they're in. And we have a few settings that come with it. Those settings will be important in the future. They are not important now. And then, of course, the actual hierarchy items. We get the actual items, again, from the account, and we actually put them in the database with that parent ID in a flat list. So what we want to do is we want to actually create a UI structure that represents that whole tree. So right now in the application, what we have is we have this hierarchy level list. And what this does is this just shows the closest hierarchy item by GPS or beacon, and it shows one of them. And you have to be within a certain radius. But if we click on that, we want to be able to see this full hierarchy. And what I wanted to point out was, if you look at this now, you can see the way we're constructing this. The account is the definition, customer is the definition, and in this case, account, customer, location, department, and then line. Those are the definitions, and you can see the different levels we're at. The data within them are actually the hierarchy items. So Pineapple, Fresh Cut, Dallas, Del Monte, Premier. And so what we want is we want this UI to be built and constructed in such a way where it consumes this data. And this is from the front end. I'm using the browser, but it's the same exact data coming down to the mobile. And in fact, we're already storing this data in our database. So it's already there, ready to go. We have the hierarchy definitions. That's how we know the label of each level, regions, sites, departments, and then we have the actual items that fill those definitions. And for now, we want to show the entire hierarchy. We will be introducing some functionality very soon that will be able to filter to a subset of that hierarchy. But for now, we want the full thing. And really, it's going to work very similar to this. If I navigate in here, I can click North Boston and hit OK. I could stop there. Or I can hit East Boston and hit OK. And if you look at what happens when I select it, I'm now in East Boston. If I wanted to drill further, I could click on First National Bank, click OK, and now I'm on First National Bank. The same exact way that works will be this hierarchy, except for in this case, up here at the title will always show whatever the current selection is. So by default, it's the account. Premier, employee, solutions. So that's what would be showing here. If I hit done, then what's going to come back to this screen, and this would be the same for clock mode or individual mode, would be account, Premier, employee, solutions. And that would be my selection that I'm ready to punch. If I click that again, boom, then I come back to this control. If I wanted to drill further, let's say I wanted to get a customer level, I could click on Culver, or let's say Del Monte, because that's what this example shows. Now I'm currently at the Del Monte, so I would show Del Monte here. And then if I were to click done, again, just to drill this home, and what I would expect to see here is Del Monte, just like that. Except for up here, I want to show customer. I know that the design shows hierarchy level, but we really want this to be the definition name, so customer, and then the specific item. And then, of course, we show the positions already for whatever hierarchy item is shown. That's already done. But is this control what I would call the hierarchy picker or the hierarchy search control that we want to get done, where I can navigate as far down the tree as I want or as shallow as I want, and this done floats down, down the list to kind of show whatever is above it is what's selected, and whatever's below it is I can drill further. And we're kind of doing this control from scratch. So this one would be Dallas, just to drive this design home here. So I'd be on the Dallas one there. Here would be Fresh Cut, just like I've got it. And here would be Pineapple. So I think that makes this pretty easy to understand. That hierarchy control follows, once again, two main sets of data. The actual definition data, which defines all these levels, 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way down to n, however many we want to go. They could put 100 in there. And then the items are the actual data that fill up those levels. So the actual different data points at each level. And that is obviously by its nature going to get much larger. Alrighty.